let's go ahead and call this meeting of the Parks and Public Works Committee to, let's call it into, what's the word that I'm looking?
Order.
There you go. Let's call it in order. Ms. Dean, will you make a note of attendance? Looks like everybody's here. It's good to see everybody. You all look lovely. And let's start with agenda approval. Anybody got a problem with this one? No complaints about brevity or anything like that? No? Okay. All right. Well, then I will entertain a motion. If anybody has one.
Move to approve.
Second.
We are approved. And let's move on to public comment, which looks like it will be short unless one of these wonderful city employees has something on their mind. You know, we never use this time to just sort of air stuff. So anybody has anything they want to say? No? Y'all look great. Okay. Okay, moving on to approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Approved? Okay, and the next thing we've got is agenda bills. AB 25- something or other. Resolution accepting additional loan funding from the Department of Ecology. This is a brand new thing. We haven't heard anything about this, have we? You gonna tell us about this, Andrew?
Yeah, good afternoon, committee. So you guys are familiar with the reclaimed water improvements, distribution system improvements project that is actually currently out to bid for contractors. Recently, I brought forward a resolution for a $6.866 million low interest, 1.6% low interest loan through the Department of Ecology to support this project. That loan comes through the 2020 fiscal year 2025 budget. The city also applied for additional funds under the 2026 fiscal year spending. If you recall, during concept design, the original scope of the project was for an additional, or for the reservoir to hold the reclaimed water. We determined that it was most cost effective to do the reservoir with a new irrigation pump station, which increased the total project budget. So at that time, summer 2024, we requested an additional $1.785 million in funding to cover the full project budget from Ecology. We requested it as part of both the fiscal year 2025 spending and also the 2026 spending, because there's two different budgets that Ecology works under. We recently determined that there was not funds available in the fiscal year 2025 budget. So we brought forward the original $6.866 million loan amount. But good news, they were able to determine that there is funding available in that original 2025 fiscal year budget. So there was things shift around, you know, projects change, and we recently found out that we've got the full project budget of $8.651 million offered. Same terms, 30-year 1.6 interest rate. And the draft agreement and amortization schedule is included as part of the agenda bill. And with that, I will take any questions.
You can get us some more money. Great job.
That's the full project. This did come after a lot of persistence from our consulting team and from Public Works, you know, different avenues of requesting funding through
Nice work.
program.
Nice work. Anybody
I
anything
echo
to say?
that sentiment.
Huh?
I echo that sentiment.
All right,
Wait,
motion
ask for the
approved.
handout.
Okay.
Unless you wanted to stretch this out.
You know, I don't know what to say unless you got another 1.75 million in your back pocket. That's great. That's fantastic. That's is there anything else that we should be asking? What are we not asking that we're supposed to that we should ask? Seems like we've talked about this project a lot, and
Yeah, I think you guys, the good thing is you guys are familiar with it. Next steps, we are out to bid. We've got a lot of interest from contractors. I think we've got 8 or 9 general contractors that are looking at the project, which is good. And we'll be presenting the bid results in April. And we do have that that deadline of June 2026 to complete construction. So we're looking at breaking ground probably in May of this year.
Excellent. May. All right.
I do have a question. So the payment schedule has the assumption of accessing the full $8.6 million day one. I thought this was one we could, when we need the money, we could go get it, but didn't have to take the full amount right off the bat. Is that not the case?
It's, yeah, so it is reimbursable. The day one date, so is December 2027. And if we don't request any reimbursement, if we don't submit any reimbursement requests, then there wouldn't be any repayment. So it's still subject to our reimbursement requests. And then beginning day one, which is December 30th, 2027 is when we begin repaying that. So we request the money, we receive it, and then we begin repaying following project completion at the beginning of the year 2027. Does that make sense?
I think so. You got a hand up over there.
At the top of this document says estimated loan repayment schedule. I assume that it will be a final loan repayment schedule at the conclusion of the project, and we know what the total price was of that money that we took out. So I think there's another schedule coming once we know what the final number is.
Yeah, once it's all wrapped up and everything. All right, does the 30-year begin at loan approval or at time of reimbursement? At least I made him think.
Well, the way this document sounds, it seems like it would begin on December 30th of 27 when we start to
does.
repay it.
I believe that's the
Yeah,
case.
Last payment
that's
in
right.
2057.
Well, in part, this is now, I mean, this is notional because
Yeah.
we do not intend to pull the full amount on day one.
Well, and the way it was just described, it sounds to me like we can be reimbursed for monies that we have spent, but the loan repayment doesn't start until 27. Until the end of 27, right?
Following project completion, right?
Following
which is-
project, and it is anticipated that we will have withdrawn all 8.75 million by that time. Or,
We're approved for up to 8.6 million.
so we will have pulled out whatever monies that we need. If you guys figure out how to do it for 7 million, we will have pulled that out by then.
That's right.
And then we'll start to repay it on the 30th of December, 2027.
Following project completion. That's right. Yep.
Kind of dovetailing on that question, if it comes in, because you guys are so good at doing things under budget,
Uh-huh.
ahead of schedule, and there is money left over, can that be used for other PPW projects? Or just it's
It's-
specifically just earmarked for this particular project?
Yeah, it would be,
It's at such a low
w-
interest rate type of thing, so just was wondering.
there's other program requirements that are project specific, which I haven't mentioned, but we've made sure that we do the proper planning and environmental steps specific to this project. So
But I imagine that if we do come in under budget, that helps us to get these kinds of loans in the future.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's,
Also makes it cheaper to pay back.
yeah, it's cheaper for the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our goal. We're getting out to bid early.
Man, great job.
Yes.
Great job. Great job all around.
Yeah.
But this has been a great department since you took it over. That last guy, I don't know. Do we have anything else that we need to, do you have any updates for us?
So just real quickly, I mean, we do have a monthly report coming out here in next week, so you'll have a lot of this. But I can, go over a couple things real quickly. So, this last month, February, was busy with a lot of snow and ice. Actually, we did pretty good this year. We stayed within our budget for our projected budget for snow and ice control. That was largely due to the fact that all of the snow came within about a two-week period. And so we did pretty good. The team really did well. We focused a lot on training this year and kind of getting all of our staff up to speed and kind of rotating shifts better and getting a lot of working on communication. And I thought we were very efficient in the way we did snow and ice. So by all accounts, a lot of people were very happy with the way we had done it this year. And I attribute that a lot to the good work by Phil Bennett, our deputy director, who kind of took that under his wing and really made that happen well. So I want to give kudos to Phil and the crew for doing a good job with snow and ice. Most of the material or most of the equipment now has been cleaned up, and we are putting a good portion of it back into storage. We're ready to go if there's another snowstorm that comes, but we're planning that. We think we're over the hump at this point. Tyler, we are still working on Tyler implementation, but I think we're kind of hitting our stride. Part of working with Tyler is that each of our divisions operates differently. The water, wastewater, parks, they all operate in a different fashion and use Tyler a little bit differently. And so we have been kind of, adapting ourselves to the Tyler system so that we can do work orders and start using it more efficiently. We still have a little ways to go with that. We have some additional days with Tyler, with their consultants, they call their consultants, to come and give us some, some help with trying to create forms and checklists and things like that we would use for, daily rounds and that sort of thing. So we still got a little ways to go, but I like where we're going. I think we're on a good trajectory with Tyler, and it's starting to work for us. Streets and pavement. Yeah. So streets, right now we are really seeing potholes starting to form, the things where, water, the freeze thaw cycle and just the amount of water in the winter is doing a number on the pavement. So we're doing a lot on right now to trying to patch potholes and keep up with that, fixing signs that got knocked over during the snow and that sort of thing. So that's taking up a lot of time. But I think we'll be over that hump. We are going to do a project downtown here this year to restore and repair a lot of those pavements. So we have several projects that we're working on. I'll come back and give you guys a little bit more information about that project. This is the first project that we are actually going to do the design in-house. We have the engineering staff that are capable of doing it. We are developing the tools, really. A lot of this is stuff that I've been doing for years, right? And so I always knew we could do it rather than pay these engineering firms. We can do this in-house. We're a lot more flexible, a lot more adaptable. We can move quickly on these smaller projects, and this is going to be our first shot at doing it in-house. So I think that we'll see how it goes, but I'm very confident that we'll do well. And I think the guys like doing it too, because, they don't get to do enough design. Being a city engineer, typically we're managing consultants and we don't get to do the design. We just kind of oversee the design. These guys will actually be doing the design in-house. So we're looking forward to that. Splash pad is coming along. We're finally seeing some progress, some good progress on it. I don't know if you guys have been up there lately, but we actually have, Sasquatch has appeared and there's a bear. And then we got trees and, features that are being placed up there on the splash pad. And we think that hopefully we'll be doing some clean water testing here within a couple of weeks. We're hoping, we want to wait till it stops freezing, kind of get past the really cold weather. We sure don't want to have any broken pipes. So, but we're going to have that thing operating, and we want to run it for a while. Once the thing is up and running and operating, we want to operate it for a while. We think there's, from what we understand, there's a period where you kind of have to break in the equipment. There's the concrete itself kind of produces, kind of alkaline water. We have to kind of let that kind of get a patina grow on the concrete and let that wear in. But we're very confident we're going to have that thing ready to go before summer.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be nice. I'd be keen to see the water turned on and that thing in operation, see how it looks. 384th, it's limping along until the project is completed. The only thing left on 384th is the pavement. And, with this cold weather snap that we had and running a snowplow over that road, it's hard to keep it up, but we did have the contractor off this week to patch holes. We'll have, we plan to pave it as soon as we can, but it's likely going to be April. So it's another month before we're going to get to it. But once that's done, that road will be done. And, the sewer work and all of that, that's all completed. The stormwater work, all of the infrastructure is in the ground and completed. So the only thing left now is to do the pavings, and we're just hoping for folks to remain patient for another month, and we'll get there. Andrew already talked about the reclaimed reservoir. Water reclamation phase 3, he did not talk about, but that is now substantially complete. And we are doing, actually, we had the second ditch. We completed the first ditch. We had that thing running. We commissioned it, essentially ran it, and it was operating very well while we finished the second ditch. We have now switched over to the second ditch, and it is in commissioning. The first ditch is drained, and we are doing some adjustments. I think Andrew mentioned last week that, we had like the big bubble mixer, and, we're doing some little things, little adjustments to it to improve and optimize the performance of that system. But both of those ditches are operating as well or better than we anticipated. And so we're very happy with the progress on that. And we anticipate that project being fully completed, I think, April or maybe May? Yeah. April, yeah. So
That's
that
great.
job will be done, yeah. So yeah, that's a good one. We're really happy with that. A new project came up. Richard kind of reached out. He wants us to, he'd like to, so we have an agreement, the city has an agreement to operate. I think we kind of own, because we built the public restrooms at the depot. And those they're getting old. They're about 10 years old now. They're 30-year bathrooms, but they're 10 years old. So they need a little bit of work. So we went over and met with Richard today and kind of looked at it. And I think that it's in remarkably good shape. Those bathrooms are really nice. I've never been in those bathrooms before. They're really nice. And so they don't need a lot. And I think we can do most of it in-house. We're going to try to do nearly all of it. There's a couple little things. There's some flushless urinals, which they gotta go. They're really stinky and they generate a lot of complaints. So I think what we're going to do is we'll have to remove some tile and, get back in behind there. We're certain that there's water behind there. There's actually water back there that we can tap into. So we'll put in some new urinals and replace the tile on that wall. But everything else are just features, soap dispensers, flush valves. I think we're going to try to change the fans out. The fans are really loud and they're getting old and they're inefficient. And we'll probably, we're going to do that, recaulk things and clean it up, maybe do some light painting in there. And I think we can do nearly all of that in-house. So that's good news. We were kind of thinking we were going to have to spend some money, but luckily our folks in our parks department can do this. And we do actually we've developed a pretty good staff of people who are capable. We can actually do quite a bit of that self-performance, for our own facilities in-house. So we'll do that. River Trail project. We are still in permitting with that, but I think that we are going to be able to bid that fairly soon. There's a hearings examiner process that we're working through, but I believe that we'll be able to bid that this year and get that first phase of the River Trail constructed, which is good. Sandy Cove, we're still kind of mired in a little bit of in permitting, there's a process with with Sandy Cove. The tribe has challenged some things on it, and Corps of Engineers will not move on anything as long as the tribe is in opposition of it. We have, I believe, no more design changes to make. I think we've made all the design changes. It's all strictly cultural access issues at this point. And, we're working with them. So we're hoping that we can get through that this year and get that to bid. That is, we're throwing everything at it. Dylan is actually managing that project and doing a very good job of it. So we'll hope to get that to bid this year as well. And that's one of my top priorities. And the last thing I think I wanted to talk to you guys about was, you remember the route jurisdictional transfer where we were talking about seeing if the WashDOT would take over the parkway. So that got stuck because primarily WashDOT doesn't want to take over that section of roadway. And two, the process established for doing a route jurisdictional transfer was was created in the 80s and it wasn't very clear. And so the process has been, I guess, complicated by a lot of, one, uncertainty, lack of clarification in what the criteria are, and also WashDOT's ability to basically ignore the request. They can refuse. So what Washington State Transportation Commission did, WSTC, they're the ones who oversee route jurisdictional transfers, was to say, all right, we need to look at this policy or this process for doing a route jurisdictional transfer again to make it more clear. And so what they hired a consultant who came in and reviewed the whole process and made some recommendations. And they had a meeting last week where we, the mayor and I, and I can't remember. No, it was just us two, right? Yeah. And about 60 of our friends from other cities joined in on this to kind of hear their recommendations. And primarily what they want to do is kind of make it more data driven. They want to give real metrics that are more clear. And I think they have done that. They have reestablished the process. We will get another bite at the apple if we want. We can actually go back, do another request another route jurisdictional transfer again under the new process. And I can't predict whether or not we'll be successful based on what I've seen yet, because it's still in draft form and they haven't given us. But what I do see is more metrics that we can use in our favor. And, I'm not sure what that'll lead to, but I think that we'll at least be able to make a strong argument for it if we choose to go after the transfer.
So we said that every 10, count up, and every 10th vehicle is a gravel truck. And then
You see, things like that. That is exactly, the data is what is going to drive this, right? Some of the things that we were really hanging our hat on, I'm like, hey, this is a regional facility. This is used by a bigger region. They're saying, well, that's great, but that's not a real metric, right? You've got to see the data, show us the data, right? And they have, various different things that they're going to base it on. Connectivity. Connectivity was a really important one, connecting various, state routes together and things like that, right?
it does that.
Yeah, it definitely does that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, movement of freight and goods, right? That kind of thing. And I can't remember the three items that they used, but there was three primary items that they're going to use to judge these. So when they get this process ironed out, then we'll come back and give you a presentation on, what those criteria are, what the metrics are, where we stack up. And then we'll have to make a decision on whether or not we want to move forward with another application for the route jurisdictional transfer
We do.
for the parkway.
We do.
I think we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So those are the high points right now. You guys have any questions?
No,
No?
thank you. Thank
All
you for
right.
that update.
Very
That's really good.
Very good. All right. And I think, we had initially intended to have the utility rate ordinance, but we just did not have the time to get that completed. Sergey's they're still cranking out the the new rate structure.
You know, this is kind of time sensitive.
I know. We were hoping to do it and we were pushing, but Sergey's just like, I can't do it that quick. So, and then the ordinance itself has a lot of numbers in it and we need that rate structure sorted out before we can, develop the proper ordinance. So we'll bring it to the next committee meeting.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
All right, I think that takes us to the end, unless Ms. Dean has something.
I'm just inquiring as to whether AB 25039 will be consent or non.
It's a lot of money. I think it should be non-consent.
Thank you.
I think that's it, right? I will
Want a motion?
entertain a motion.
I'll entertain making a motion.
Okay. Hey, you want to actually make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.